All right. Yeah, it means we just went live. Gonna wait for some people to show up. So if you're watching this in the future, the recorded version, skip ahead about 5 minutes. At least 5 minutes. And post this to a couple places. Let's see here. Come on. Let me compose a message. Computer's acting really slow. All right, still nobody here yet? Okay. All right, so if you're watching the recorded version, like I said, skip ahead about 5 minutes. So right now we're only a minute and a half in. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of word out there to friends and families and stuff, people that might want to watch. You know what? That's not the right link. All right, let's go to the YouTube version. Trying to get people the right link to get on here. There we go. You gotta need one version or the other. There we go. All right, looks like we got some people here. All right, I got Nightbot open. I don't know if it's running yet. Hey, Mohawk, how you doing this evening? I'm just trying to get the live stream up and running good here. Let's see if that worked. That didn't work. I guess Nightbot's not up and running yet. Hey, Mohawk, do you remember how to get Nightbot linked into the live stream? I've got the other screen open, but I don't see how to connect it. Maybe that's it. No, I already did that. Oh, I got to enter @Nightbot in the. Okay. Maybe. Let's see if that worked. No, I had to set that up as a moderator. All right, well. Go live. Nightbot will only join streams that are live. Well, it does take it a few minutes, I guess. All right, so we got Mohawk 62's here. I don't know who else is here yet. Let me finish sharing. Oh, I need to go there. All right. All right. All right. So I left my list over there. I'll be right back. I'm not used to looking at that one. All right. All right. I'm back. So I don't know if, I don't think you were on last week. Were you, Mohawk? But anyway, I gave a pretty good project update. Looks like we got 4 people now. There's a lot to do. Still need gauges. I've been wiring up a temporary gauge. I think I've gone as far as I can really go with that. The gauges I'm using right now are from a 01 or 02 2500 HD truck that actually had an Allison and 81 in it, but I have a much newer computer. I could do that. We could do that. Where's my StreamYard link? Invite. And come on. So anyway, I've been trying to use that for now. It doesn't fit the gauge or the dash very well or at all. So here we go. Mohawk, if you want to jump on, that's great. Oh, it looks like Nightbot did jump in. But anyway, I've had to actually unwrap some of my wiring under the hood. I thought I'd missed one of my OBD lines. In this particular system, the other pin that I thought is labeled as a OBD actually goes straight to the TCU, which that might be another link where it's saying, hey, I need to communicate with that as well, and it's might be communicating with the same serial data bus. Still need to plumb the driver's side fuel tank. I have actually drilled the hole now through the flatbed, so I can put the filler neck through the bed instead of under the bed. That'll get me much better flow into the tank, because before I couldn't use fuel cans at all. I had to just go to the pump, and that was the only way I could pump fuel into the truck. Another thing that's on the list, and it should be done already, but it's not. The other toolbox, I've got mirror image toolboxes for the driver's side and passenger side. I took it off to clean it the other day. It's never been bolted down on the driver's side. It's been sitting there, and the game plan was to get it bolted down this weekend. I think it was Friday evening, Saturday evening. The guy there was a Corvette behind my truck over there, between my truck and the next bay, or at the next bay. It was a green Corvette. Not allowed to film it, wasn't allowed to film it. But anyway, that young man actually came and picked it up this weekend, leaving a lot of room in the garage. And I chose to get some of the other garage tools and materials out of my way so I could better fit my tooling into Bay 3, which is the bay I'm working out of here. So all my tooling and stuff has been moved out of the way. All that tooling and stuff got moved out of against the wall, swept and mopped and stuff, and then was able to push all my tooling over there against the wall. And so my area is a lot more organized than it previously was. So that took up some of the time that I was planning on working on the truck this weekend. I have got front blinkers working, not rear blinkers. Don't know how that's happening yet. I'm thinking I have a break in one of the lines. I did cut the lines or the wires between the cab and the rear bumper to be able to take the cab off the frame. So I'm sure it's just a splice that I missed going back together. But the toolbox, the driver's side toolbox was always rust stained when I bought it. And it having the aluminum diamond plate, I really didn't want to get out there and start polishing and stuff like that. So I tried to use a rust remover agent. What I wound up with, it worked fairly good. It was a bathroom rust remover cleaner. And so that did take away a good chunk of the stain. That being said, whatever caused the rust stain to become on the aluminum box also was a pretty corrosive material. So it also ate into the box a little bit too. So once I got the rust stain off, I still had a good bit of pitting and corrosion. Long story short, I finally broke down and bought some somewhat polishing materials today. I've got several of the, I'll get it one real quick. The nylon brushes from Harbor Freight. I didn't want to get the wire wheel going because that really would eat into the aluminum. These do a pretty good job of just taking some of the flaking and pitting off and kind of shines up the aluminum without really creating that swirl mark that the aluminum or wire wheel would cause. So I've gone across over half of the, okay, I'll try that too. Gone over half the lid of the box because that is going to be the more difficult part because that's the diamond plate part. Everything else is just flat plate aluminum. So I could go over that with anything, just polishing wheels or what have you. Went over that, and then I went back with a stainless and coarse polish that is compatible with aluminum, and went over it with a buffer, and that kind of took away some of the little bit of marks I was getting from the nylon pads. Did leave a bit of residue behind, so I'm thinking the WD-40 with a Brillo pad or something might do the trick. Maybe if I put the Brillo pad on the buffer, because the buffer is more of a random orbiter, and I'm thinking that will leave a less patterned polish, I guess. So WD-40 on the Brillo pad, put that on the buffer and go at it. And then everything else, I'll probably hit it with some high-grade sandpaper and then buff it out. So we can go from there on that. Hey, we got Neverboard jumped in. Neverboard, I sent you a link earlier today, plus their link is in the comments section if you're available to jump on. Frank. So anyway, a little bit has gotten done. Like I said, the garage has gotten picked up quite a bit. At least my tooling is. I'm trying to get the truck to where I can back it out and drive it and stuff easier, because it seems like while I'm working on the truck, I just pile stuff in the bed of the truck or in the cab of the truck, and then I can't drive it. I have to take half an hour or more sometimes to clear off enough crud out of the truck so I can move it and drive it. So that being said, this box is almost ready to bolt down once I'm done buffing it and polishing it or whatever makes it pretty. All right, so sorry about that, Frank. Maybe next week. I'm thinking about just doing a bi-weekly on Tuesdays. We'll figure it out. But so that's the bed has been cleaned enough and painted around where the box will go. So I've painted that dark machinery gray because I have cases and cases of that particular color, and I kind of like that color. The other color I would paint the bed maybe would just be black because it was originally black, but I kind of like the gray. You know, brings a little life to it. In fact, the bottom side of the cab has been painted gray as well when I had it up in the sawhorses with the wheels and stuff. That was kind of sketch, but all right, so that's gotten done. Like I said, I've gotten the tooling and stuff sorted and organized. I've unwrapped my wires, so now I have to rewrap them. Cleaning the toolbox still. The next step would be to bolt the toolbox down. I've got measurements from the other side. It's 4 1/4 from the edge of the bed, and from the front of the bed to the back of the box is 32 inches. From the front of the box to the front of the2 I think it's like 2 3/4 inches, something funny like that. That would be another option. I kind of would rather them be shiny, but it's polishing up pretty good considering how much pitting was in it. So Matthew, I'll put their comment on the screen here. Matthew's talking about painting it with bed liner. Oh, the bed itself, I think that would kind of defeat the because that's diamond plate as well. And I've got paint. Paint works good. It's cheap. And then if I drill holes and stuff, I don't, it's just a flatbed. I'm not super, concerned about it. And bed liner would be better for thinner sheet metal that's rusty. This can continue rusting for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Heck, the truck's almost 40 years old now. Getting pretty close to it. So that being said, It hasn't rusted through all the way yet, and a couple spots have, but that's on the what you call it, the headache rack and stuff. I'm also tempted to come up with a way of cutting out some of the. Y'all can't see it from here. Might change the camera angle here. Still can't see it. There's expanded sheet metal between the over the back window from the headache rack area, and I really can't see through it anyway. So I'm contemplating sitting in the cab and having somebody chalk it out on the inside of the window, maybe with a Sharpie, my visual range with the rear view mirror. Actually, I don't have a rear view mirror in this truck. Need to replace the windshield first before I do it. And then I don't think it's ever had a rear view mirror because there's no marks on the glass whatsoever for a all right. There's never been any marks for a rear view mirror. And of course, this may not be the original windshield, but it does have the AM radio antenna in the windshield. So that's the running joke around here. That's one of my, we'll put them up there. The dual fuel corn liquor. It's one of my imaginary or fictitious sponsors. We started that as a joke, and we've played it out a little bit. Maybe we'll bring it back again later and start putting that in videos, just as a reminder to future sponsors that I can do those type of ad material. But yeah, we got that. I want to cut out some of the expanded sheet metal, put some sort of, I don't know, something framing it, and then maybe put a logo at the bottom corner or something a little bit easier to see through or around. You know, just get it to where I could see decent where the traffic would be behind me, or even the fifth wheel hitch as I'm backing up the truck into the trailer. What else has been done? So I've done a little bit of wiring, or reversed a little bit of the wiring. I've done the toolboxes. I've moved the other tooling. Still need to bolt down the console. Dash is a future project. Another project coming soon on the truck is we need to put steel fuel lines from the tank all the way to the engine compartment. Right now, majority of that line is the vinyl fuel line, which is high pressure. It's great, easy to plumb up for the high pressure of a fuel injection system. So I managed to get an 87 fuel sending unit and finagle a little bit more modern, higher pressure fuel pump to it. Got that adapted to the vinyl fuel lines, and from there it goes to the Corvette fuel filter / regulator, and then from there all the way to the engine compartment. Let's see. I mentioned the blinkers aren't working, and the brake lights aren't working. I don't know why, because I disconnected those, and I just need to find the right wire to plug back into it and reconnect it all. Clearly, as I'm working towards getting doors on it, I'll change the mirrors out. Front bumper still needs to go on. That's a fun one. I did dig it out this week. It was amongst the weeds right behind my camper, and it was a good storage spot when I put it there, but it's been since grown in. Rust-Oleum High Enamel Spray Paint. Holds rust. That works. It works. Let's see what I do have. It's an industrial spray paint. It literally says Krylon Industrial on the can. And that is dark machinery gray. If I can get the camera to focus on there. It will not. All right, well, anyway, it's dark machinery gray. And I have cases upon cases upon cases of this. And if I run out of the rattle cans, I also have quart cans of the enamel as well. All right, what else is going on, guys? We did brainstorm a little last weekend, or last Tuesday, about possibly putting a 8.1 in a Trailblazer. We nicknamed it the Hellblazer. Another idea or two that has come across my thoughts is I have a 86 4Runner or an 82 Toyota that it's a roller right now. It doesn't have an engine or transmission in because we've used those on other Toyotas. And so it could get a 8.1 with maybe a 4L80 behind it, and probably would need 9-inch Ford rear end or something to be able to hold the power. 7MGTE swap the Mustang. I think it might be easier just to hang the Mustang body on the Supra at that point. There's not much left of the floor pans and stuff of the Mustang. Nothing in that drive line would be able to hold up to the 7M. So it might be easier to, like I said, just rebody the Supra with the Mustang body. There's what's that? Casey's Garage and several other garage YouTube channels out there that do crazy body swaps with like BMW M3 chassis and then rebody them with classic car bodies. Yep, there's one of my crazy Pennsylvania friends. He's saying do it with the rebody on the Mustang or the put the 8.1 in the Toyota truck. JDM Mustang. Well, to me, that Supra was about as American as a car could get with it still being an import. It looked a lot like the IROC Camaros to me. You know, it was a clone of that, and they came from the same era, from the mid '80s to the early 1990s. 8.1 in the Yoda. Well, since I don't have an S10, that was my next. I've got one Yoda that's going to keep the propane turbo. And then I was like, well, the other one doesn't have enough drive terrain left. It would need some welding done to the chassis, which MIG welder's right back there. And then, well, the chassis broke and needs a fish plate right behind the axle, but before the rear leaf spring perch. So the front leaf spring and the rear of the leaf springs, every time the spring flexes, it actually pushes the frame apart right there. And it was intact when I left Idaho with the truck, but I knew it had a crack. By the time I got it home to Texas, it cracked. But that being said, that truck caught a lot of air time in or about the Moab region of Utah. Couldn't imagine how or why. I wound up getting lost on ATV trails. All right, what else is going on, guys? 8.1 in the Yoda. It might be a harder fit, we need a bigger shoehorn, but that does sound like fun. I mean, we could do a body lift to make it easier to fit there too, I guess. Might even have to just move. What if we stretch the front fenders a little bit and then make the cab be further back to have room for that 8.1 in there? I don't know if it's ever been done. I've seen small block 350s jammed under the hoods of those things, and it's usually a recipe for overheating. The biggest of shoehorns. Yeah, big shoehorn, yes. Yeah, it could be fun. It makes some good footage. It has crossed my mind. So that's a possible. Put the engine in the back. Do like the what was that? The Maserati. Well, you know what? Just mount the transmission and transfer case, and just reverse them, right? That might work. Just put the radiator up front. I imagine the most fun of that would be, you have the exhaust go towards the front of the truck and then do a U-turn and go back and dump out somewhere. That would just ruin the bed, though. All right. Hey, we got 8 people in here. I wonder who else here. Let's see if I can get that Nightbot command. Yeah, V-drive that. Well, it's 4-wheel drive anyway, so just leave it in 4-wheel drive. Just, have the front drive shaft coming out of the thing going to the rear. Let's see if I can get that command here. Here we go. Oh, it didn't let me type. if I can get the Nightbot working here. Oh, I'm the one lurking. Great. Um, nah, Nightbot might jump in. I know what we need to do. Ask the Magic 8 Ball a question. All right, Magic 8 Ball. Should we put a 8-1 in the Toyota truck? Let's see if she'll respond. Oh, Mandy's here. I'm not sure how Nightbot works. It's got the blue wrench right now, but I can't seem to get it to do certain commands. All right, Hawk. We'll see you later, man. Enjoy your dinner, and hopefully we'll still be on when you get back. I'm going to try to shut it down around an hour though. That just seems to be my happy point for talking. Do it all for Dale. Make Greta cry. Let me see. I don't know how this Nightbot works here. I'm trying to type in Nightbot commands, but I'm not getting very far. It's just auto reply. Well, there's to be certain commands you could type in to the Nightbot to respond, and I'm probably gonna have to go back and rewatch those videos because I have to Google to remember what Nightbot was because I couldn't remember where to go to get it pulled up. Yeah. What's up, Mandy? Do it all, make Greta cry. We're talking about the either the 8-1 going into the Trailblazer, the Hellblazer now, or the 8-1 going into one of the Yodas. I think it would be fun putting the Forerunner even. I joked about the little 22R and the Yoda tires off the ground. They either smoke those or pull the front ones off the ground on the Forerunner. A picture of the truck with the 8-1 sticking out of it, and make Greta cry with little diagram of Greta with tears running down her face, big puddle of tears, and then somebody scooping the tears up, with the mop to fuel the engine. Because why not? Speaking of which, this is shirt. Uh, um, there, guys. Seeing. There we go. Am I still on here? Anybody see me? StreamYard was blinking out on me for a minute. Thanks for stopping by, Neverboard. You were here for at least 2 minutes, so we got a view out of that. So maybe 20 minutes or so. You were one of the first to jump in. So thanks for coming by. We'll try to do some more talking next time. So yeah, we got a lot done in the garage last weekend. Just didn't get much done to the truck, but I feel that the more organized my tools are in the shop, the easier it will be to continue these projects. So moving right along, right? So the garage is cleaner, more organized. My tools are cleaner, more organized. this stuff. I'm getting more organized with my list and starting to scratch stuff off the list. And that's the main goal here is to get the truck good and drivable, not just drivable. Because I could take it out right now and go down the block and around the block, and still don't have the blinkers or brake lights working, but that's coming soon. That's probably a matter of sliding under the truck and seeing what connection just didn't get reconnected, or maybe it's just a bad ground somewhere in the back. I know the brake lights is right under the dash thing. Retry shirt would be a good one. Regardless of what I am that 8-1 in, because it going in here, that's one thing, but putting it in something small and fun, drive around the block, I would have to switch over to being on a phone or something mobile. That's exactly what I did last time when I did go on the drive around the block. That's goodness, probably a good 6 or 8 live streams back if somebody was to go back into my live streams and find it. What else can we talk about? I mean, I've given the updates. There wasn't much to update on compared to last week. Oh goodness, it's hard to stand in front of a camera and just talk. And then the 2 YouTubers have jumped out already. Eddie, can you get old Mike or what's his name? Same. Can you get some more of the Pennsylvania guys to jump in? But anyway, yeah, we could possibly do a drive around next week. Maybe I can get the brake lights and stuff up and going by then, and that way we can do I'll do a full walk around inspection before we take it on the road. All right, he says he will do. As long as we got good cell coverage, it will stream the entire time. So that's a good game plan. We might, hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be able to pull that together. Man, there's some of these live streamers, man, they hold giveaways and prizes. One guy gives away 4-post lifts about once every other month. I don't know how he affords that, but I think one of his sponsors actually knows to give away. Plus, he goes down to like Harbor Freight and just buys a ton of whatever's on sale, and then gives that stuff away. But you have to pay into the membership program to be able to win the gifts. Yeah, he's definitely sponsored. Right now, the game plan is to do a cutout between this and next. I do like the tone of these mufflers, and that's just loud enough for when I'm putting around town. It sounds good, but I'm thinking for longer road trips, I probably want to cap it off even quieter. So I do have. Oh no, I don't. The Flowmasters are 2.5s, and they're not Flowmasters. They're Cherry Bomb Vortex. Very nice sounding muffler, but with a muffler in front of it, they kind of works with 2 chambers, and it really quietens it down a lot. I know I did the same thing to the Forerunner. I put a glass pack that was real loud, and then I put that was a MagnaFlow or something that came with a different Toyota. And what I did, I had one quiet, except for when you actually got on it. It's like a raffle. Yeah. Well, I'm not at the point where YouTube will let me do any of that yet. So I do have my 1,000 subscriber count now. And what we're waiting on now is, hey, how's it going, Lone Wolf's Garage? And so just waiting on the first 3,000 hours of view time within 365, or even 4,000 would make me fully monetized. Right now, I've dropped from 1,500 hours down to all the way down in the mid 1,300s. But I am starting to see that tick back up. I'm finally starting to break 100 hours of view time per month again, which is fantastic. I used to average 100 to 140 a month, and I did stop doing live streams for a while, and I've struggled to keep up with putting videos out. I've got one in the works right now. I went ahead and put a teaser video of that one out today. Last I checked, it had 16 or 18 views or something, and a couple comments. I do plan on actually hiding that video later, because it does include the phone numbers to those vehicles. And what I'm in the process of doing with my editing is I'm redacting phone numbers from the vehicles that had phone numbers on the windshield, because I figure 6 months or a year down the road, those people are probably going to get tired of people calling them about those vehicles that would probably already been long sold, or maybe they changed their mind about selling them. So that was taken in public place at a swap meet where people were intending to sell or trade their vehicles. And so if somebody really wanted to get hold of those people, they could go through me, and I could contact those seller first and say, hey, is it even available for sale now? And then get 3 or 5 years down the road or whatever, the people, somebody going, hey, what, or making up some story that that vehicle was stolen from their great uncle or somebody, you know. So I'd rather just redact their phone numbers out of there. If somebody says, hey, that was a great price, I want that panel station wagon, if they want to get a hold of me, they can. And like I said, I can filter out the hacks between. Oh, we may have lost connection again. All right, so that video is still in the works. Had a kind of a busy weekend otherwise, and I feel I did get a lot done. I just didn't get much done on the truck, which is okay with me. Yeah, it's, in a way, I mean, if I get good enough at helping people sell their vehicles, maybe I can jump in there and be like a maybe get a get a little spoof for some money off this, you know. But right now, I don't feel my channel's big enough to even try to do all that. Those were both at a swap meet, and they weren't far from each other. If you look in one frame, sometimes the other one's right behind it. They might have even been the same seller. One was a rolling chassis. Yeah, finder's fee. One was a rolling chassis, no engine or transmission, even didn't have bumpers, but the body looked like it was in better shape. And the other one had some kind of a fresh OD green paint to it, and it did run, even though they had a little teeny tiny air filter on it. I had the original inline six. I think they call those the stove bolt inline six, because the screws that would hold the cover the lifters and push rods from where the cam was positioned in the block, those were literally held on with like a flathead screw that looked like a stove bolt. So those were known as the stove bolt inline sixes. In fact, I recently watched a machine shop rebuild one of those engines for one of their customers, and they were commenting on how many times that motor had already been remachined and put back on the road. The bearings on the rods and the bearings on the crank had already been replaced at least twice. Same with the piston diameters had been stepped up at least twice. And their customer had brought it in and had it machined at another shop, got it back, and it went like 30 miles before locking up again. And so they had it at this machine shop getting it redressed and find what was wrong with it. It did bend a push rod and had stuck a valve. And their comments was the way the other shop had lapped the valve guides instead of replacing that. There's an older school way of thinking about it. When you even if you replace the valve guides, they would lap them or hone them to try to keep oil on the guides longer. But then they also turned around and put modern valve stem seals on the valve guides, which starved the valve guides for oil, and that's probably why they stuck a valve. And then once the valve stuck, then the piston smacked it, even bent the push rod, made a mess. Yeah, not a bad deal. It was a beautiful car. Mandy thought the world of those cars. She likes that body style. I like them too. One of the cars that's kind of on my wish list here locally is I've nicknamed it the kitchen sink, and I want to say it's a 1950, not a 19. And of course, I imagine it doesn't have floor pans and stuff, but if it does, great. I know it's missing the. Oh no, I think the inline six is in there, but it has not had a hood over it in quite some time. So I can imagine it would be a mess to try that inline six. My thought would be there's plenty of room under the hood for maybe an 8.1. But also, I don't know about the suspension on those because it's such an early vehicle. I can imagine the suspension's kind of antiquated and would not lend itself to being driven with modern cars. I know back when I was driving the 65 Mustang, the last day I drove it, a semi truck pulled out in front of me and expected me to slow down and almost spun the car twice trying to slow down for a semi truck because by the time I got to him a quarter of a mile later, I was still doing 45, 50 miles an hour. That car did not have good brakes. It had four-wheel drum brakes, and it never stopped good for me. The brakes were just more like, let's slow this thing down until we eventually come to a stop. The brakes never stopped the car. It was just pumping the brakes, pumping the brakes, and you could come to a stop eventually. Hey, Ellie Mae. um, so yeah, we've got a couple things updated. Cleaned up the garage and stuff. Got the trucks. Some of the wiring's gone backwards a little bit, but that's two steps backwards to ensure that I got it right. That's the thing. I would put a more modern suspension under it and keep the curves of that body. Uh, I I understand sometimes my internet connection freezes. Yep, he has full room to put the whole LSX and turbo into there. uh, oh, yeah, we could do that. I've got a couple projects ahead of that as far as when I'm working at home. Got to get that mini split AC up and running. I also plan on fixing the other uh, central air unit as well. It just needs the condenser coil in the attic replaced because it leaks somewhere there. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to do. Find a chassis with modern enough suspension that's a rolling chassis that's approximately the same wheelbase and width, and then body swap that onto there um, and go from there. Uh, Other than that, maybe get the tubing and weld up a chassis, but I don't have any sort of frame table or anything like that to make sure. I'd have to do a lot of on the floor calculations to get it going. Yes, the Mitsubishi. He's got one of the Mitsubishi all-wheel drive turbo cars, and oh goodness, how long ago was that? Probably over 20 years ago. We swapped it with the red top from Japan. Yeah. Well, that when I had the small block in here, I literally would just crawl in the engine bay with the engine and work on it. That's how I got the exhaust manifolds off, how I got the intake manifold off, how I put the new intake manifold in. I did have to take the middle. I took the radiator out and the middle part of the core support to get the cam out, and then swap the cam, put it all back in. And actually, that one piece of the core support sitting on the bed of the truck right now, ready to be painted, because it never went back in, and somebody stepped on it, bent it, and then. But my square body Eric, I did a little bit of hammering it back into shape, and I come back a couple days later and I was like, man, I don't remember getting it that straight. Square body Eric's over there laughing. I was like, what? And he goes, I took some time with the body dolly and hammer and straighten that up for you. So yeah, we got it's ready to be painted and put back in. I just need to run that wire brush over it real quick before painting it. Wow, only 1,500 of those back in '92, huh? Yeah, it's been a while. When did we swap that red top into it, Matt? It was a while. That was back when I was still in the Army before my last deployment. Alrighty then. Well, we at 45 minutes. That's not a bad live stream. I've given updates. I've given repeated myself about twice about everything. I'm eager to start driving this thing. All white paint, red circles on the door. The kamikaze, huh? What I do want to do here shortly, like I said, I do want to start driving the truck a bit, just locally. Start working on the rest of the bugs out of it. I know it's immediately has to get done, but I want to make sure I get the other stuff done. The things you'd find on a road trip or things you'd find when you're driving it. So, what I want to do is, like I said, start driving it locally. The local circle track starts up in a couple weeks here in April, and it's a 40 drive from here. I've done some videos there, did great, and now I'm to the point where they don't do so great. So I don't think I'll be doing any videos from there, but I do like going and watching, and I wouldn't mind driving this truck out there just to get to work the knock the dust and cobwebs off of it. There we go. Now, that being said, I'm sure after a few trips like that, a few trips to there and back, I probably won't want to drive it so much after seeing how much the gas goes through it. But logo for the channel here, sort of shop truck, and put it on the doors. It's kind of what I was planning on doing. It has Cassock Milling Company on both doors. One side's white, side stenciled in black. I kind of wanted to keep the same theme and maybe same font, just to be a throwback to that. But on the flip side, make it something for my channel. Maybe the dual fuel corn liquor or something. Powered by Greta tears or something. I don't think I'm going to drive it all the way to PA unless we really need to haul something heavy back. Because, I could rent a U-Haul and haul a Jeep back from there. And I really want to work on that Jeep. Maybe if the channel gets to the point where it actually pays for the videos, I could fly up there and bring some tools with me and work on the Jeep. Oh, Casey's 6 miles to the gallon. I'm hoping to get up closer to 9 or more. I hear they get 12 to 15 while towing in these. Of course, that 15 is probably a stretch of the imagination. But even if it gets 8 or 9, that's double what I was getting with the small block, because that thing was drinking oil and getting 3 miles to the gallon. Oh, goodness. What's 10? Oh, 10 miles to the gallon? That would be phenomenal. 9 or 10, that'd be a happy medium. Restore the Jeep in the building. That would be fun. Just bring it on inside in the basement down there and start working on it. Well, we've all seen the videos where the guys take the body off and the engine out and then put it all back together and, put the wheels back on and drive it away in like a minute and a half or something. But I imagine we might want it working a little bit better than that, so you can drive it in parades and stuff. Okay, we're at 49 minutes, which is getting pretty close to an hour. I'm starting to run out of stuff to talk about unless you guys keep the comment section going here, which are doing great. Yeah, what you're thinking? Make it drivable or make it to where you can just pull it apart and put it back together in videos? Chugs gas like a fresh 21-year-old at a frat party. Yeah, maybe. A Jeep in the ballroom. Yeah, that's where I was thinking it'd go. Do y'all still have the karate classes and ballerina classes and stuff in there. The Lego. It's not doing it. All right. Oh, take it to shows. Yeah, parades and shows. All right. Well, what else do I want to talk about? Y'all are doing fine keeping the comment section going here, considering how small the crowd is. You know, I put gas in this truck. I've never driven it to the gas station since I put the new tank in. Uh, in fact, the other gas was so old that I think I dumped it out, used it as weed poison. Clutch dumps in the ballroom. That might be bad on the floors there. Now it's not letting me switch messages. Okay. Are we losing y'all? I'm back, maybe. Can y'all see me? There we go. Yeah, that's. Oh, Matthew's going way, way back. Never open a pressure cooker when it's under pressure. Shrimp go flying everywhere. The contents of the pressure cooker will go flying everywhere. That is for sure. Okay. Well, yeah, the comment section kept going, and then now I'm getting caught back up. Yeah, we had a incident called the Flying Incident at the old Acorn Hills house. Ryan had gotten some shrimp off of one of those side of the road stands where they sell the fresh shrimp on ice. They'd driven down to Kima and picked it up, and we're there on the side of the road at one of the major intersections near us. And they cook it, and he made the mistake of partially locking the lid on the pressure cooker. And by the time we heard it whistling, everybody's like, "Oh wait, you shouldn't have put the lid on there, especially locked." And before we could say anything, the lid came off, and it splattered shrimp with Old Bay seasoning on it on several people, and we got some nice burns and shrimp shapes and stuff. And yeah, we wound up wearing some Silverdine for a while. Oh goodness, it's fun having these live streams, and I just need to have build the audience, maybe get them up with better topics or more topics. You know what I also need to do is get to the point where I can I might be able to share screens. I'll practice that. Got shrimped. Practice maybe doing some screens where I could share either photos or videos, and go from there. Well, my brother Ryan, but yeah, I know y'all got plenty of Ryans over there too. Shrimped. Good one. Thanks. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it early. Thanks everybody for coming by. I enjoy having the live streams. We just need to get better at them and bring more people along to enjoy the conversation with us and keep the conversation rolling. And Lone Wolf or Pepperidge Farm or Ellie Mae, if you guys want to jump in the live stream next time, get your laptop set up and get StreamYard opened up. And when I put the link in, this link here, in fact, it might take you straight there anyway. If you have a laptop or something with a camera on it, it will open that up. Do a flip. I ain't doing a flip. Oh, Mervine, yeah. But it'll bring you into StreamYard. You'll be behind the scenes, and then when it pops up and shows me that somebody's in behind the scene, I could hit this other thing that'll split screens. I've been in some set up to 6 or 8 people in them, which it kind of gets like the Brady Bunch where you're trying to look at the person that you're talking to or about in the video, and it gets fun. I don't know how to do wraps on cars. That's not part of my forte. Probably install window tinting. It's very similar to doing the lead edge protection tape that we do on the wind turbine blade. And well, anyway, send a link early. We'll join. You know what? I'll send a link before the live stream next time. Uh, I'll get your email address later and be looking for a. It's Proton Mail, but it's going to be Casey at my channel name, jackstandsandcinderblocks.com. And then we'll send you a link that way, and that way you'll have the link before this thing even starts, and then that way you'll be in the live stream from the very get go. Yes, let's hear about some of your vehicles. Yeah, the how to and the videos of that show a little bit more of that kind of searchable material on my channel does a bit better in the long term. Sometimes it takes the algorithm 6 months, 9 months, a year or more to find them. But once it does, those videos are what's the word evergreen. Um, and so I have a video I did almost 2 years ago now where I put the seat covers on the bench seat, and that video is up to 4,300 views now. It gets about 200 views a month, which is phenomenal for a video that is 2 years old. Because I've got videos now that are a few weeks old that don't have 200 views, or a month old they don't have 200 views. So yeah, like I said, certain videos take a while to pick up for the algorithm to find them and figure out who the audience for those are. Another one that I've done is um, uh, I did a quick video on how I troubleshot and figured out the fuel tank selector switch was bad, and I wired into the thing and was able to make it switch without the switch and be able to switch tanks that way. Uh, I'm going to have a completely different setup now because I can't use the vacuum operated valve anymore with the high pressure fuel pumps that it's going to take to do the fuel injection. So what I'm going to actually do is just have that switch operating a fuel transfer pump to pump from the driver's side tank to the passenger side tank, because the passenger side tank is the one that's got the high pressure fuel pump in it. Lone Wolf's Garage here saying he's got a 67 Impala, a 2000 Civic hatchback, and Hitler's longtime best creation. I'm guessing that's the Volkswagen Beetle. Let's see. Show how to use a 3D printer as well as troubleshooting. That's a ways off from where my channel's currently at. It was Gypsy Wagon Makerspace for several years, but the stuff I was 3D printing wasn't stuff I could show 3D printing on the internet. So I could probably do a little bit of a how-to, but there's actually pretty tools for that already. 1776. Oh, the engine, the Volkswagen Beetle engine, huh? Google it. Yeah, YouTube it. I could give you some links to some really good channels that do that. Um, I still have them. I'm still subscribed to several of those channels, even though I hadn't 3D printed in well over 2 years since I bought the truck. Pretty much, I've really haven't been printing because I'm busy working on the truck, but that has actually helped grow my channel quite a bit. Shot glasses. I did see Matthew sent me a link of some. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, those intake, the flared intake pieces, and they had vortices actually built into them, which reminds me of all those intake tricks from the late 90s and early 2000s where they were putting these crazy things in every intake. And I remember going to a junkyard once and seeing a homemade one where a guy took a Pringles can and glued pieces of cardboard in there to make the air turbulent as it went through this Pringles can. How about a mobile turret? Okay. I don't know. One thing I was working on 3D printing that I was going to actually eventually post the videos of, and I did film the pieces. I was going to set up I nicknamed it a gumball machine because to get help for writing the code for it, I was going to have to tell somebody it was for a gumball machine or some other machine that would be dispensing a certain amount of a certain material. But the certain materials that are going to be counting would be 5.56 bullets, and then forcing them into a magazine. And what I wanted it to be able to do is increments of 10s or increments of a 30, depending on which magazine you had. And I wanted to have a button where you just press a button and say if you had a 10-round magazine, you could put a 10-round magazine there and hit the 10 button, and it would count out 10 rounds and put them in the magazine for you. Then 30 rounds in a 40 round, because I like my 40 round sticks, but I do have several 30 round sticks, because guns are evil and you can't, show how to reload one now on YouTube. But at the time I was going to make this automatic loading device. Since then, I've actually lost access to the CAD files that I have. I do have the STL files that were generated from those CAD. A lot of it designed and functional. Was to the point where I just needed the drive mechanism to actually connect to the stepper motors to turn the the counting device. And then I was actually going to get on Fiverr and have somebody write the code for an Arduino board I'd be able to put that code into the Arduino boards, and I'm going to ignore the comments, but yes, yeah, the Arduino board was going to have those buttons pre-wired to it, and then bam, it was going to be able to count. One stepper motor was going to do the counting, drop them into the other part, and the other part was going to be just jamming them in. And that was that was a hard part too, is getting it to where it would reliably force those rounds into the magazine every time. The other part where you jam the magazine in, I actually had that part up and working quite well, where it would print in two halves, bolt together, and then the other piece, I had an eccentric that would actually operate the sliding part that would jam the rounds into the magazine. And I was getting better and better with that design. It actually had ball bearings on the eccentric, and it was getting good, but that part was very difficult to 3D print. To the point now where I'd probably go through Send and have it made out of stainless steel or, steel and put a bearing on it. Well, I don't remember where those files are exactly right now, but yeah, I could go back and find them, and some of those files are refined and printable, and some of them aren't quite refined yet. Yeah, I mean, I do have a different 3D or CAD software that I'm somewhat proficient at now. I haven't really touched it in 9 months, but that would be a quick refresh on how to use that CAD software and then go from there. So, hey, we're at an hour and 5 minutes almost now, and appreciate everybody coming by. I've rambled for an entire hour now, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll see y'all next week on the next live stream. Thank y'all for coming, and in live stream.